I stood at the front of the courtroom, the judge's gavel echoing in my mind more loudly than the words being weighed against my husband. My heart raced as I clutched the edges of the wooden table, the polished surface cool against my palms. The murmur of the crowd faded into a dull roar. All my senses were heightened, overloaded with the reality of betrayal. He stood across from me, hair neatly combed, looking every bit the charming man I'd married just a year ago. But now he was a stranger, an enigma wrapped in layers of deceit. My throat tightened as I realized this was more than just his theft. He'd dissected me too. "Your Honor," he began, his voice smooth yet laced with an edge of arrogance, "I don't recognize a single accusation." "My wife," he said, turning his gaze slowly over to me, the flicker of malice masked behind innocence, "is simply making wild claims based on her own insecurities." Distant whispers pierced through the fog of my despair. Did they think I was the villain here? I could feel their eyes boring into me, judging me as if the truth breaking apart was my fault, as if love had become a weapon. At that moment, everything I'd ever known shifted, and I flashed back to the day it all began, the day the charade began. It was a warm afternoon, and the sun poured through the window of my small apartment. The aroma of fresh coffee mixed beautifully with the lingering scent of the lilacs I had just picked from the park. My heart danced with anticipation as I set the table for two. It was our 3-month anniversary, and I couldn't remember ever feeling so hopeful. "Are you ready?" he called out from the living room, his voice deep and comforting. I poked my head out and smiled. "I'm almost done. Just putting the final touches on." He stepped into the dining area, his smile illuminating the room. "You've outdone yourself already. This smells incredible." He leaned down and placed a lingering kiss on my forehead. "It's just pasta and a little wine," I replied, brushing it off, but inside my heart fluttered. I felt like the luckiest woman alive. I wanted tonight to be special. "You mean so much to me." He flashed a perfect, mischievous grin. "You mean so much to me too, more than you'll ever know. Here's to us." He lifted his glass and I clinked mine against his, letting the richness of that moment envelop me. Those perfect moments rippled through my memory, juxtaposed against what was happening now. I had trusted him. Everything had looked perfect in the beginning. He was charming, an impeccable listener, treating me with a gentleness that felt rare in a world that turned too cold too quickly. He had made me feel seen in ways I had long stopped expecting. As the months rolled into a year, we laughed together, planned our future, and hosted friends at cozy gatherings. He swept me off my feet, and I was utterly enraptured. I couldn't fathom that I was building my world on unstable ground. But as easily as those golden days had come, shadows swept in quietly, shifting the hue of my reality. Friends began to be scarce. It was subtle at first. Dinners consumed in front of the television, and weekends spent alone together. But soon I was surrounded by silence. When I confided my worries, he smiled reassuringly. "Who needs friends?" he'd say, his hand resting soothingly on my shoulder. "Don't you realize I'm all you need? I'm right here, babe." And I believed him. But, like all silky lies, truths began to fester below the surface. I'd find the receipts, layered deep in his wallet, trips that he claimed were business, late-night phone calls that taunted my instinct to uncover. I felt the weight of his deceit squeezed tight around my chest, but every time I tried to voice my concerns, I was met with that smooth charm that made me doubt my sanity. "Why can't you just trust me?" He'd snap, irritation flashing across his face. "You're just being paranoid. This is what you do, and it's exhausting. You're making something out of nothing. And it's shameful." As the judge's voice snapped me back into the present, my hands trembled under the memory of that brewing storm, a storm that would eventually ruin everything I thought I knew. "Mrs. Lawson," the judge said, glancing up from his papers, "do you have any evidence to support your claims?" Suddenly, I froze, recalling the bank transfer I had stumbled upon just days earlier, revealing a sinister transaction that linked to my mother-in-law. Was it just my imagination? I could feel a swirling turmoil roaring like an engine in my stomach. "Yes," I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper but holding firm certainty. "I do." Asterisk now, with the dread of uncertainty coiling within me, I was ready to unravel the web he had woven. I steeled myself against the shadows of betrayal. aware that if there was any truth left, the courtroom would soon reveal it, the day I would reclaim the missing fragments of my life. Image prompt: a young woman in her late 20s standing at the front of a courtroom, her long dark hair cascading over her shoulders. She wears a sleek navy dress that contrasts against her pale skin. Her eyes are wide, glimmering with a mix of hope and anguish. A striking engagement ring catches the light. It's a glaring reminder of the joy now lost in the shadows of betrayal. The courtroom is filled with spectators, some murmuring, others watching intently, while her husband looks composed yet arrogant across from her. My life had become a carefully constructed illusion, and I was the playwright lost in the shadows of my own act. The ringing laughter of my friends slowly faded, replaced by the silence of my crumbling world. Each of their exit calls, their final goodbyes, felt like a nail in a coffin I never meant to build. I thought I had found a partner, but instead, I found my prison. The isolation crept in like shadows at dusk, subtle at first, but eventually suffocating. At first, I was thrilled to spend more time with him. It felt romantic. The candlelit dinners, the late movie nights. But then the phone rang less often. "Do you really need to see them?" he'd ask, a shadow crossing his face as if I were betraying him. You know how you get when you hang out with your friends? Those moments of hesitation sent ripples of guilt through my chest, but I brushed them away. "They're just worried about you," I had argued one afternoon, the sunlight casting stripes of warmth across our small living room. He dismissed it with a wave of his hand. "What do they know? I'm the one here, with you. I see you. I want you to be happy. We're building our lives together." "Of course," I replied, feeling a strange tug in my heart. "But they care too." A tight smile formed on his lips, but I caught the slight downturn that lurked beneath. "You don't need them. Trust me, babe, it'll be just us. Isn't that what you want?" Asterisk, 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 asterisk days turned into weeks, and slowly my friends became distant memories. They'd send messages asking to get together, and I'd always have a reason ready. "I can't," I'd say, the words slipping out without conscious thought. "Mark needs me at home." Or worse, "I think he's feeling a little under the weather." In my heart, I had known I was lying, but his voice echoed in my mind. "You're all I need." I didn't realize until much later that isolation wasn't an unintended consequence. It was his masterstroke. Each time I let go of a friend, he drew me closer, wrapping me tighter in a shroud made from silk and misery. One evening, months into my gradual retreat, I found myself sitting on the couch in our living room, wrapped in a soft blanket, my laughter echoing faintly as he told me one of his funny work stories. And then I said, "You really expect me to sign off on that?" "That's a joke," he chuckled, a rich sound that momentarily filled the silence. I smiled weakly, but my heart sank as I realized I'd barely seen any of my old friends. I picked up my phone, scrolling through text threads that had grown cold and neglected. It felt foreign, the ghost of connection slipping through my fingers. "Why are you smiling at your phone?" he questioned, his brow furrowed slightly with a hint of annoyance. "Oh, just a group chat," I replied, my voice quiet. "Your friends again?" His tone turned sharp. "You know, I don't like how they make you feel. They're not good for you. Look at where you are, happy with me." "But I miss them, Mark. I can't help but feel lonely sometimes," I confessed, my heart fluttering with apprehension. "Lonely? You? With me?" His laughter rang like a chilling echo. "That's ridiculous. We're about to build our lives. Focus on that. Asterisk, 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 asterisk." His manipulation deepened, and soon I became utterly dependent on him, not just emotionally but financially too. I had quit my job because he insisted it was the right move, that living together meant I didn't need to worry about work. "You're my priority," he'd declared, welcoming me with open arms when I made the worried claim that I was stressed and overwhelmed. "It'll be good for your health. Just take a break. People need to know how to enjoy life," he would state smugly. Sitting around at home didn't feel quite right, I thought, the familiar pang of doubt creeping in. Despite those nagging feelings, I fell into complacency, dependent on him for everything. My self-esteem, my financial security, my very identity. Every time I felt the pull of independence, he would pull in tighter. "Babe, you know you can't juggle all that, right? Just trust me. I'll take care of everything," Mark would croon, his voice like honey poured over a wound. I wanted to fight back. I craved a voice, a spirit, a life independent of his. I had once joyfully bought flowers for my friends, but instead, I found myself purchasing groceries, paying bills, and just hardly scraping by, a shadow of the woman I used to be. Each expense came with careful calculations, but all of my decisions flew out the window as he marked them worthless. Just my name on this? I questioned at the bank's counter, the weight of realization settling heavily on my chest. Don't worry, I have a solid plan to pay it back, he iterated, a nonchalant grin adorning his face. Little did I know, those words were the harbingers of my doom. And it was that day, months after the last flicker of friendship had fizzled to nothing, that I happened upon a transaction that bled incredulity into reality, my mother-in-law's bank transfer. An unsettling exchange that unraveled his entire deception, signaling the storm that lay ahead. I hadn't just lost myself. I was about to find the darkest truth of all. Image prompt. A young woman sitting in a dimly lit living room, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders as she stares at her phone with concern etched on her face. She wears a worn-out, oversized sweater, and the faint glow of a television screen contrasts with the shadows of the room. A stack of unreturned phone messages litters the table, taunting her with the memory of lost friendships, while a glass of half-drunk wine sits untouched by her side. The atmosphere is thick with isolation and introspection. As the soft notes of a violin filled my ears, I stood just outside the ornate church doors, heart pounding as I prepped myself for the whirlwind that was to be my wedding. Everything that morning was orchestrated to perfection. From the delicate white lace of my dress to the bright bouquet of gardenias that tinged the air with sweetness. Friends and family flitted around me, their laughter weaving in and out like threads through fabric. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. Yet here I was, caught in the strangest moment, the swirling uncertainty hinting at something far more sinister. Excitement was palpable, but an unsettling weight built behind my chest that no amount of rehearsed smiles could dispel. The candelabra flickered softly, and the scent of polished wood and blooming bouquets merged with the notes of perfume wafting through the crowded space. The conjoined clinks of glasses and hum of voices seemed miles away, swimming in a haze of apprehension. I felt another pang of doubt when my phone buzzed. I brushed aside the tremor surging through my hand, impatience bubbling beneath the surface as I directed my attention to the screen. A text message popped up, a string of words from my mother-in-law. I braced myself as I opened it. Just letting you know I transferred the funds for the venue. Can't wait to celebrate. An uneasy feeling churned in my stomach. I tried to shake it off, reminding myself that everything was set, that Mark's mother had always been supportive. My wedding day should be a time to bask in joy, not spiral into unease. But something felt off as doubts sank deeper into my mind, festering like a crack in fragile porcelain. Why would she transfer it directly? I questioned, a gnawing itch brushing against my conscience. I could envision the sheer costs of the venue. Those pristine white tables and intricately designed floral arrangements that blanketed the hall were things that had a hefty price tag. Why not just let me know about it? Have the credits designated in my name? Perhaps, I thought, it's standard practice. But still, it unsettled me. Everything all right? Asked Emma, my lifelong friend and maid of honor, as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear, her brows furrowing in concern. You're pale as a ghost, I shrugged, forcing a smile while my cheeks burned under her scrutiny. Yeah, just a bit nervous. Nervous? This is your day? Emma laughed brightly, mirroring the distorted image of the bride I was supposed to be. Come on, let's take a selfie. Say cheese. Sure, cheese. I chuckled, but the smile felt stiff, the picture a facade I could no longer maintain. I found myself drifting again, drawn outside, seeking fresh air and clarity. As I stepped into the small alcove of the church's side entrance, a comforting breeze ruffled the hem of my dress. The scent of the earth mingled gently with the dried roses adorning the archway, but my heart thudded with foreboding. And then I saw it, the crumpled receipt laid casually on an old wooden bench, nearly blending into the natural color of the wood. My body seemed to move on autopilot as I walked towards it, curiosity driving me. The paper was worn, as if it had been hastily shoved away. I hesitated, feeling like I was stepping past a flimsy veil separating my present from a world I wasn't prepared to explore. I bent over, tugging it from beneath the bench with trembling fingers, and the moment I unfolded it, my world tilted on its axis. It was an expense report, a receipt from a hotel I knew Mark would never have a reason to visit. The mention of room charges and a signature at the bottom sent bile rising in my throat. It felt like daggers ripping through the delicate silk of my joy. My heart raced as my finger traced over the price tag. 2 nights. King Suite. My mind spun, reality warping into nightmare as I felt the air escape my lungs. Who were you with, Mark? I whispered to the quiet night, the cathedral standing tall like a fortress guarding its secrets. Laura, Emma yelled, breaking through the haze, pulling me back as I fumbled to process. You all right? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just stumbled on something, I managed, clutching the receipt tightly. My mouth felt dry and my stomach twisted into knots. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, an omen looming before me. What did you find? She inquired, tilting her head in concern. It's nothing, just a receipt. I swallowed, deciding then that ignorance for a moment longer might grant me the peace I needed. An old mistake. I hoped my voice sounded steadier than my insides felt. But the smell of the rose bouquet behind me burst like a reprimand, intensifying the panic seeping through my veins. Are you sure? You don't look convinced. Emma peered into my eyes, and for a moment, I felt the wall's cadence against my trembling pulse. The air thickened like a storm ready to burst. I needed a truth, a reassurance that this was where I belonged, at the altar, loved and cherished. I'm okay, really, I lied, forcing myself to breathe. I just need a moment. But my mind echoed with questions. Could I really move forward? What else was hidden beneath the surface of this carefully crafted life? I knew deep down that I had to confront the shadows that had settled into the corners of my mind, even if it meant embracing the unsettling unknown. Image prompt. A young bride in a flowing white gown standing outside a grand church, her face contorted in confusion and fear. Her long dark hair is swept back elegantly, yet a few strands fall loosely, framing her pale face which holds a crumpled receipt in trembling hands. She stands on a beautifully tiled path with flowers densely populating the background, a scene set for joy. But her anguished expression suggests a darker realization unfolding beneath the surface. The air is thick with tension, as nervous anticipation fills the space around her. As the white lace of my wedding gown swished around my legs, the world within the church receded, replaced by my own spiraling thoughts. Each reminder of the receipt crumbled in my pocket, pressed heavier against my heart. Eventual vows fell silent on my tongue. I stepped further away from the flower-laden archway, wrapping my arms around myself to shield the growing storm inside. That slip of paper had ignited a fire, one filled with suspicion and dread, but it also drew a line I couldn't ignore. I desperately needed clarity, and I was determined to uncover the truth that had nestled behind my husband's charming facade. That night, after the reception fluttered to a close and the guests had parted with repressed laughter and bags of wedding favors, I paced the dimly lit living room. Everything felt hollow, a once vibrant space now echoing apprehension. Mark had whisked himself off to bed, his face still painted with a mask of innocence from earlier. You did great today, babe. Now we can finally relax, he'd said, that same insincere cheer dripping off his voice. I forced a smile as I clenched the receipt tightly in my fist. You can't let him get away with this, whispered a voice inside, the need for justice igniting within me. The following day, I found myself sifting through the chaos of the past months, struggling to connect all the pieces to this puzzle he had crafted. The walls of deceit were closing in, and I was drowning in uncertainty. I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed help. I needed someone who could illuminate the shadows that had fallen over my life. Then, in a moment of desperate recollection, Helen popped into my mind, a loyal childhood friend who had turned her life into a career as a private investigator. The way I remembered her rifling through old files with that fierce determination sparked hope. I reached for my phone, adrenaline pulsing through my veins. Hey, Helen, it's me. Can we meet? Laura, she gasped, surprise lacing her tone. Of course. Is everything okay? I hesitated at the fork of my voice, unsure of where to begin. I just need your help with something serious. Sure, where are you? We met at a small cafe, the aroma of fresh pastries wafting through the air like a warm embrace. The sunlight poured through the large windows, illuminating my anxiety as well as the deep lines of doubt etched on my face. I found a booth at the back, my heart racing while I waited. When Helen arrived, her frizzy auburn curls bounced and her bright blue eyes sparkled with concern. "What's going on, Laura?" She slid into the seat opposite me, sensing the tension radiating from me. I took a deep breath, recounting the sequence of manipulative tactics Mark had employed. The isolation, the control over our finances, and ultimately, the receipt I'd found. As tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, I felt the warmth of her presence seeping into my soul. Every time I try to talk to him, he makes me doubt myself, I confessed, wringing my hands in anxiety. Like it's all in my head. This is haunting me, Helen. I think I'm being deceived. I need to know the truth. I can help, she promised, her voice steadying my racing heart. We'll start with some basic investigative work. Let's put the pieces together. Do you have any leads? Maybe I could install a recorder in your home or even follow him discreetly. Really? I blinked, the idea electrifying but terrifying. What if he catches us? If he's hiding something, trust me, he won't notice, she said confidently. And if there's anything else we need, we'll find someone to help. You deserve the truth, Laura, even if it hurts. That evening, I led Helen into our home, my heart pounding as I surveyed every corner for potential hidden pitfalls of our shared life. The living room is a safe space, and if you find anything, my voice trailed off, hesitant. Try not to worry. We'll set this up and keep an eye on him, she confirmed. I studied her, feeling a renewed sense of strength pooling in my chest. Little did I know her presence wouldn't only help with Mark, it would serve as a catalyst for my awakening. It turned into a whirlwind of covert operations, laying hidden recorders beneath coffee tables, checking his phone in the hopes of finding clues in the text messages, and gathering tiny fragments of evidence. One night, as I sat up in bed, tension twisting my stomach into knots, I whispered under my breath, "Please just stop lying to me, Mark." Silence hung heavy in the air. In the shadows, Helen's laughter from earlier echoed in my mind, igniting a well of hope. With my resolve ignited, I plunged deeper, fueled by the impending truth. I watched him closely, waiting for his routine to provide me a chance to piece together the secrets lurking behind every smile. My internal dialogue wheeled in palpitating excitement and fear. What if everything I suspected was true? What if it crushed me? But there was a spark of defiance in me that I couldn't ignore anymore. The storm I had avoided for so long lay directly ahead, and I needed to confront it head-on, to unearth the secrets he'd buried deep. No more whispers, no more lies. Image prompt. A young woman in her late 20s with long dark hair in loose waves, sitting in a cozy but dimly lit living room, her face intense with determination. She's holding a small recording device in her hand and looking over her shoulder, a tinge of dread and resolve in her eyes. The room is cluttered with remnants of a life now tainted by suspicion. An untouched glass of wine sits nearby, casting faint reflections in the low light. A blurred frame holds her wedding photo, a haunting image of what once was, silently screaming for justice. I re-entered the church feeling like a ghost haunting my own wedding. Guests buzzed with excitement, their chatter echoing warmly against the ornate walls. But I was far from joyful. My breaths came out in shallow gulps as I clutched the small crumpled receipt in my pocket, a damning piece of paper that felt like it had burned a hole through my wedding gown. "Laura, there you are." Emma's voice broke through my spiraling thoughts as she flitted toward me, a bright bouquet of flowers in hand, adorned with vibrant blooms surrounded by rich greenery. "You okay? You look pale as a ghost." "I'm fine," I managed to say, forcing a smile that felt stranger than ever. "Just lost in thought. You know how weddings can be." Emma shot me a quizzical look, but I turned away, trying to mask my anxiety. My gaze drifted through the crowd until I landed on him, Mark, smiling with that easy charm that had drawn me to him in the first place. He was deep in conversation with my mother-in-law, and something in the way he leaned toward her, laughing too hard, sent a shiver down my spine. I cleared my throat, trying to banish the mounting dread, and made my way toward them. As I approached, I could hear snippets of their conversation, Mark's laughter ringing false and flat against the joyous atmosphere. "It's going to be perfect, just like we always dreamed, right?" Mark said, his tone almost saccharine as his eyes flicked in my direction. Yes, dear, my mother-in-law replied, her voice blanketed in that familiar false sweetness. As long as you two keep it together. I could feel the tension coiling inside me like a spring ready to snap. Mark, I interrupted, forcing a smile. Can we talk? Now? His brow furrowed, confusion spilling across his face like syrup spilling from an unsteady bottle. Can't it wait? We're in the middle of something. Actually, I think it can't, I shot back, feeling a tremor in my hands. The receipt crumpling further in my tight grip. I need to know what's behind all these secrets. His expression shifted, annoyance seeping into his features as he leaned closer to me. Secrets? What are you talking about? Don't do this. I felt the burning embarrassment wash over me like fire, igniting my cheeks as whispers and glances darted around me. The hotel receipt, Mark. I found it, and it's not just some mistake. What? He laughed too loudly, shaking his head with an incredulous smirk, the arrogance in his voice like a venomous snake coiling tighter. You think you can just waltz in here and accuse me in front of my family on our wedding day? Laura, my mother-in-law chimed in, her voice dripping with feigned concern as she laid a hand possessively on Mark's arm. You really shouldn't let your imagination run wild. It's a wedding. You've nothing to worry about. Oh, it's all in my head, isn't it? I spat, feeling the room grow smaller as every eye bore down on me. Maybe this is easier for you to say since you are the one who transferred money for this wedding. Excuse me? She bristled, narrowing her dark eyes at me. You have no evidence of anything, Laura. You're just making an accusation because you're scared and overwhelmed. Try not to be so dramatic. You're ruining your own wedding. The sharpness of her words cut into me like shards of glass. I faltered, my voice dropping to a whisper. I'm not trying to ruin anything. I just want the truth. You must have misplaced your priorities, dear, Mark said, his tone mocking, because it seems like you're making a mountain out of a molehill. I thought you were above this, but clearly I was wrong. Wow, Mark, I said, my voice wavering with disbelief. You think finding out you might be cheating is just me being paranoid? His laughter was rich and cold, slicing through the air. Maybe you're just projecting your own insecurities on me. It's not becoming for a bride. I caught a glimpse of Emma out of the corner of my eye, her face twisted in concern as she moved closer, but I waved her away, too lost in the whirlwind of gaslighting that threatened to tear me apart. Stop trying to turn this around on me, I burst out, the turmoil of emotion flooding my veins, every nerve ending consuming the wedding footage of happy moments just seconds ago. I deserve answers. Oh, you deserve answers, he echoed, his voice dripping with sarcasm as he squared his shoulders, an intimidating figure blocking my retreat. You think I owe you explanations for whimsical notions you conjured up in your mind? You hear how paranoid you sound? Paranoid? I felt dizzy now, my heart racing as if caught in a storm. Mark, please. Don't you dare embarrass yourself like this. He snapped, his voice dropping dangerously low. You'd better watch yourself, Laura, because if you keep this up, I will have to show you just how serious I can be. I don't want to move forward with a wife who can't trust me. You can ruin this day for yourself while I'm trying to enjoy my wedding. Heavy silence fell between us, wrapping me in a suffocating cocoon, my mind reeling with disbelief. What are you threatening me with? I whispered, feeling the weight of his gaze pressed down like a shroud, wrapping the truth in shadows. Just know that if I wasn't as patient as I've been, you would be dealing with the fallout of your childish behavior. Mark's voice was low, edged with the kind of menace that twisted my stomach. And we both know nobody wants that. I took a shaky breath, fighting to reclaim my thoughts, drumming my fingers against the side of my thigh as if searching for courage. I won't let you silence me, I murmured, though the softness of the declaration felt frail against the tempest of emotions swirling around me. Then you'll find it hard to carry on with a wedding no one supports, he countered, emotionless. But believe me, if it's a war you want, I will win. Panic curled around my heart, sinking deep as inhibition gave way to determination. A chill swept through me, leaving my skin prickling with a mix of fear and defiance. As I turned to leave, Emma's supportive presence loomed behind me, but I didn't know where to go. That crumpled receipt, now resting heavy in my pocket, felt like a ticking time bomb ready to unravel my life. I needed to gather more evidence, but in this moment, I could feel the walls closing in. I swallowed hard, bracing myself against the threat looming over me. I had to find a way to expose the truth, no matter how deep the shadows or grand the stakes. Image prompt. A distraught young bride, her dark hair cascading down her shoulders, stands in a lavishly decorated church, surrounded by guests. Her eyes are wide with confusion and fear as she confronts her husband, whose face is twisted with arrogance and disdain. The wedding venue is exquisite, with vibrant flowers and candles. Yet a chilling tension hangs in the air, signaling a darkness that threatens to overshadow the joyous occasion. The reception hall buzzed with laughter and joyful chatter, yet I felt like a ghost haunting the fringes of my own wedding. The crumpled receipt still burned a hole in my pocket, its presence a reminder of the deception lurking beneath the surface of my life. I stood in the back, watching Mark as he reveled in the adoration of our friends and family, charm pouring off him effortlessly, unaware of the storm about to crash through his parade. "Hey, Laura, join us," Emma called, waving me over with a bright smile. Her voice cut through the haze of my spiraling thoughts. Not feeling well," I lied, forcing a smile. My heart raced as I made my way outside into the dim glow of the evening sky, where the distant murmur of celebration faded into the background noise of my mounting dread. "Laura, wait," Emma called behind me, chasing me outside. "Are you sure you're okay?" I took a deep breath, feeling the cool evening air wash over me, grounding me momentarily. "Just needed some air," I replied, my voice shaking slightly. "I just feel off." She frowned, stepping closer. "Is it about Mark? He seemed, I don't know, distant during the toast?" "He's fine," I snapped, more sharply than I intended. But the weight of his earlier threats hung heavily over my heart, suffocating me. "He's perfect, right? Aren't I lucky?" I struggled to keep the bitterness from pouring out. "Laura," Emma said, her expression softening as she laid a comforting hand on my arm. "You can talk to me. I'm here for you." I sighed, the floodgates threatening to open. "You don't understand, Emma. I found something. A receipt. A transfer from Mark's mother." "Transfer? What do you mean?" She leaned closer, her eyes narrowing with concern. I hesitated, the words slipping through my tightened throat. "I think she's involved in whatever this mess is, too. Like she's helping him hide something. Do you want me to talk to her?" she offered. Pain surged through me, and I shook my head. "What's the point? We'll just make things worse." I pulled away, the dread consuming me. "I need to figure this out on my own." "Laura," she pleaded, trying to reach me through the fog. "You don't have to go through this alone." "I have to, Emma. I need to know what's happening." I turned to gaze into the distance, a cold wind wrapping around me like a warning. Hours seemed to drag as I slipped back into the reception, the glittering decorations now a glittering farce to the crack that had formed inside my heart. As guests celebrated, a sense of foreboding hung around me like a shroud. Only Mark seemed oblivious amid the chaos, his laughter filling the space as he tossed back drinks and entertained the crowd like a seasoned star. But I felt every ounce of our strained dynamic boiling underneath. The moment I stepped back to join the festivities, I was met with an unexpected call. My phone buzzed in my pocket, trembling like my heart. I glanced at the screen. It was my landlord. "Laura!" he barked, his tone frigid. "I think it's best if you find somewhere else to stay." "Excuse me?" My breath hitched, disbelief flooding through me. "What are you talking about? Your rent hasn't been paid." "I told you it's due every month. You missed the last payment. And honestly, I can't hold the apartment for much longer. It's my wedding day," I exclaimed, the panic rising like bile in my throat. "We'll pay. I just need a bit more time. No can do. I can't hold the place for a bride who can't keep her commitments." "You've got 48 hours. Pack your things." "Wait, please don't do this," I pleaded, but he hung up with a click, leaving me clutching my phone in disbelief. It felt like the ground shifted beneath me, confidence shattered into pieces. "Laura, what's wrong?" Emma rushed over, concern flooding her voice as I fought against the wave of despair crashing down on me. I hesitated, my heart racing. "My landlord just kicked me out. I have 2 days." "What? That's insane." Emma's eyes widened, her cheer snuffed out. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know," I cried, the panic clawing up my throat. "I have nowhere to go. And Mark, he's oblivious, too wrapped up in himself. Have you told him?" Emma pressed, and I felt a flicker of hope. "No," I shook my head fiercely. "What good would that do? He's not going to help me. Not now. Not ever. I can't show him any weakness. The weight of my words pressed heavy in the air between us, and I felt the cracks deepen. Really, you think he'll just let you fend for yourself? You're his wife. Emma's voice sharpened as urgency laced her tone. The hollow laughter of the crowd echoed behind me as I fought against the dread pooling in my chest. His earlier threats sliced through me, dragging me deeper into confusion. The vivid glow of the celebration felt like a cruel taunt, my world crumbling inside. It had become impossible to ignore the truth. The man I married was a stranger. Laura. Mark's voice braided through the chaos, rippling like an alarming siren. "We need to talk," he commanded, his face contorted with frustration as he approached, and I felt frozen in place. "Do you have to ruin everything?" I shot back, all my emotions spilling out. "You know what your mum has done? This whole thing? It's a mess. Do you ever listen to yourself? You're being dramatic again." He stepped closer, menace gleaming in his eyes. "Me? Oh, I'm dramatic now." My temper flared and the desperation swept in like a tidal wave. "You think I'm the one who created this? You don't even care that I'm losing everything?" A snarl crept into his expression. "Now you're just making me look bad. Did you think I'd let you ruin my wedding from the get-go? You should be ashamed." The hurt slid through my defenses, snaking around my heart. "Lose everything!" "There you go. Manipulating me again?" I shouted back, my own rising fury masking the vulnerability slumping my shoulders. "Manipulate? Are you serious?" Mark's eyes turned stormy. "Maybe if you didn't make this your whole identity. You think the world revolves around you. It doesn't," I shot back, my emotional balance crumbling into fragments, along with the wedding I had envisioned. "It revolves around you pretending to be something you're not. Fine. If you think you can't handle the way my life works, then maybe we shouldn't be together." Mark snapped, his breath falling heavy with resentment. Anger, pain, and fear burst forth, the audience around us now just shadows. I could feel my heart shattering. "You want me out? You have it," I shrieked, tears blurring my vision. "Fine. I will pack my things. I'll leave you to your happy little life. Good riddance." "You won't be missed," he yelled back, and the weight of his cruelty crushed me. The world dimmed as laughter continued to reverberate. Each giggle only reminded me of the joy ripped from me like a tendril. I stumbled back into the shadows, feeling my entire existence collapse under the weight of unrelenting anguish. In that moment, it became clear. Not only did I lose a wedding day, I lost my home, my security, and my sense of self. The fear of terrifying uncertainty slithered around my heart. Where would I go now? How could it have come to this? They thought they had destroyed me. If you hate bullies, hit the like button. Image prompt. A young woman in flowing white attire, teetering on the edge of heartbreak, her dark hair framing her tear-streaked face. She stands alone in an extravagant reception hall, surrounded by jubilant guests, their laughter stark against the hollow pain etched into her features. Lights twinkle above her, casting shadows that mingle with the turmoil swirling within her, while the crumpled receipt representing her unraveling life peeks out from her tightly clenched fist. I stumbled away from the chaos of the reception, my heart racing in my chest. The echo of Mark's cutting words lingered in the air, tainting the joy and love that had filled the room just moments before. I could barely breathe. It felt as if the walls of my world were crumbling around me. I had believed in him, and yet here I stood, battling the storm swirling within. As I stepped outside, the cool night air greeted me, an unexpected relief from the suffocating atmosphere. I needed clarity, and I knew where to find it. Helen was waiting at a nearby cafe, ready to dive into the darkness that surrounded me. I hurried, the plush fabric of my wedding gown rustling with each step, a stark reminder of everything I should have been celebrating. The distant laughter faded with each passing moment, leaving only the cold grip of dread tightening around my heart. When I arrived at the cafe, Helen was already inside, her auburn curls bouncing with each animated gesture as she spoke to a detective friend, David, who had joined her. They turned to me as I entered, and Helen's comforting smile melted the weight pressing down on my chest. "Laura, you made it," she called, her voice filled with warmth. "How's the celebration? You look like you need a breather." "I wish I could say the wedding was worth celebrating," I whispered, finding my seat at their table. "Everything is falling apart. I feel like I'm unraveling." David leaned closer, concern etched across his features. "What's going on?" took a deep breath, steeling myself against vulnerability. It's Mark. I found a receipt for a hotel stay. I think he was lying about something, and every time I try to confront him, it's like he turns it back on me. Now my landlord just kicked me out. I buried my face in my hands, frustration pouring out as I relayed my story. Listen, Helen said, her voice firm as she reached across the table to grip my hand. We can use this. I've looked into Mark's background a bit, and there might be something there. We need to uncover the truth behind this hotel stay and that transfer. Today at the wedding, I didn't want to say too much then, but I've been piecing things together. What do you mean? I asked, curiosity piqued amidst my spiraling anxiety. I think there's something deeper, she replied, eyes shimmering with determination. I believe that your mother-in-law might not just be complicit. I suspect she's tangled in something criminal. The transfer you mentioned earlier. It's bigger than breadcrumbs of a marriage gone wrong. I think it could be involved in money laundering. My breath caught in my throat, disbelief flooding through me like ice. Money laundering? That's insane. Why would they do that? What else do you think we'll find? David leaned forward, excitement dancing in his eyes as he joined the fray. If it's what I think, we can gather evidence and bring it to the authorities. But it has to be done carefully. There's no telling how far this goes. I don't want to believe it, I murmured, my voice trembling, my heart torn between disbelief and the exhilarating spark of hope. But if it's true, then you need to know, and we will find the smoking gun, Helen insisted, her resolve solidifying the atmosphere around us. Let's start with the bank records. I have connections who can give us access to some details. We can build this case while covering our tracks. Okay, I said, nodding hesitantly as adrenaline coursed through my veins. We set a trap. It's time we unearth the truth. The plan ignited a brightness I thought had vanished. Our discussion shifted into strategy, voices mingling with the soft murmur of the cafe and the aroma of fresh coffee wafting through the air. The background noise faded as we focused on our mission uncovering the lies that had tethered me and confronting the danger lurking just beneath the surface of my life. During your next outing with Mark, Helen continued, we can have a bug placed in your home. It can record him casually discussing finances with his mother, and if we can find evidence of any illicit activities, we're golden. Your husband won't suspect a thing, David affirmed, his eyes lit with determination. Nested in his charm will be that very evidence of a hidden world. The pieces will fall into place. My resolve solidified in that instant. I had spent too long fighting shadows, and now I was ready to dismantle them. One secret at a time. Let's do it, I said, a sharp edge to my voice. Let's expose the truth behind this veil. It's time to shatter the illusion. That night, filled with renewed purpose, I drifted to sleep with the hum of plans spinning in my head. Clarity had emerged from chaos, igniting a fire within me. I was no longer just a passive figure in my story. I was the author of my own destiny. Image prompt: a young woman in a white wedding dress. Her long dark hair falling over her shoulders sits in a cozy cafe surrounded by her friends. Her face, a mix of determination and fear, is illuminated by soft lamps that cast a warm glow. She leans across the table, holding hands with her friends, each face reflecting an unyielding bond against the storms swirling around them. The background is filled with shadows, but her spirit shines defiantly, ready to face the impending truths. I stepped into the church, the afternoon sun streaming through the stained glass, casting a kaleidoscope of colors onto the marble floor. It was a stark contrast to the swirling turmoil in my stomach. I was supposed to be a bride cloaked in happiness, radiating joy and love, but instead, I felt like a puppet in a cruel play, my strings being pulled by forces I didn't understand. The knot of anxiety tightened in my chest as I recalled the plan I had devised with Helen. My heart raced at the mere thought of deploying it, an elaborate ruse designed to bait Mark and my mother-in-law into revealing their secrets without realizing they were being entrapped. Laura. The voice of my mother-in-law cut through the ambient buzz like a knife. She glided toward me, a polished smile plastered on her face. There you are. Are you ready for your big moment? Oh yes, I replied, forcing a smile, trying to replicate the excitement I was supposed to feel. Everyone is waiting. They can't wait to see you in that beautiful dress. She leaned in closer, her tone conspiratorial yet filled with an unsettling sweetness. But to me, it felt more like poison. Let's not keep them waiting, I said, a hint of a tremor in my voice beneath the mask of cheerfulness. I needed to appear calm, even though my heart was a beast thrumming wildly against my ribcage. As the ceremony progressed, each word exchanged, each vow spoken, felt weighty and suffocating. I was trapped within my own skin, knowing the storm brewing beneath the surface while I paraded as the blissful bride. Mark's gaze remained fixed on me, twinkling with an innocence he had yet to unveil. The calculated charm he projected made me feel as if I was constantly teetering between love and betrayal. All the while, my mind flickered back to the plan, the hotel receipts, the bank transfers, and the phone calls Helen had intercepted. I was not as defeated as they believed. I had woven a delicate thread of deception, one that would soon reveal the truth. Finally, the moment arrived. The guests gathered around, laughter and chatter cascading like a waterfall. I signaled to Helen, who stood back like a watchful hawk. With a deep breath, I approached Mark and my mother-in-law, adopting a blooming smile, laced with fake innocence. I was thinking we could grab a toast together. You two my favorite people, I suggested, feigning enthusiasm. With a nod from Helen, I felt my pulse quicken. Why not? That sounds lovely, my mother-in-law replied, her smile somehow stiffening as if sensing the charge in the air. Great! Right over here. I indicated toward a corner of the reception area, where a small bar had been set up, bathed in the warm glow of fairy lights. I led them both to a secluded nook, away from prying eyes. Mark, have you ever tried this wine? I nudged, pretending to babble with excitement. They say it's perfect for the big day. Mark shot me a quizzical glance, an eyebrow arched. It's just wine. But sure, why not? The bartender poured 3 glasses and I clinked mine against theirs. The sound resonating through the air, lingering like a false promise. To new beginnings, I chirped, keeping my voice bright. To new beginnings, they echoed, but the edges of their smiles brimmed with something darker, something almost predatory. They had no idea the full extent of the trap they had walked into. I need to ask you both a question, I said, my voice lowering to a casual tone, feigning vulnerability. I've been feeling a little overwhelmed with all the wedding preparations. And Mark, you know how sometimes people don't communicate well? Like, financial matters. His face hardened momentarily before smoothing into an innocuous grin, clearly bored by the topic. What about it? I leaned in closer, my pulse racing. I found a bank transfer under your mother's name for this venue, and it got me thinking. You know how crazy things are? Especially when money gets moved around. I just wanted to make sure everything was above board with the wedding payments. That's all. You're making a fuss over nothing, Laura, Mark snapped, his charm quickly turning into irritation. Don't let your insecurities take over a day that's supposed to be about us. A flicker of excitement danced in my gut as I noted the crease in his brow, his irritation dancing like shadows against the light. I had struck a nerve. Oh, I understand completely, I replied, my voice dripping honey. But then why was there a hotel charge? It coincided with this lovely trip to the resort. You know, I really wanted to believe it was all about me, but the truth is, I'm starting to feel honestly forgotten. What do you mean? My mother-in-law cut in, a hint of steel underlying her pretense. Just that it feels strange I didn't know anything about these financial matters before today, I retorted, desperately pushing forward. I thought a wedding was supposed to be a partnership. Mark clenched his jaw, visibly flustered, his facade cracking just enough for me to capitalize on. Laura, he hissed, lowering his voice, stop ruining this for me. Oh, you think I'm ruining it? Is that it? I brushed my hair back, feigning innocence. Just wanted to make sure we weren't hiding anything, that there would be no surprises. The room swirled. Whispers of curiosity floated around the gathering crowd. I was luring them onto the stage of their own unraveling, digging for that incriminating truth, watching my mother-in-law's play as the concerned parents shift into instinctive self-preservation. Mark's patience finally snapped. Do you want me to show you just how much I can ruin your day? He barked, anger simmering beneath his skin. No, no. Just let me see the books. There's nothing wrong with wanting clarity. I pivoted, feigning retreat, flipping my emotional ruse to defensiveness, angling it to trigger their instinct to hide. My dear, my mother-in-law lamented, attempting to regain her composure. You must be mistaken. We've taken care of everything. Maybe it's just the stress. Or maybe it's an awful lot of money for me to have no idea what's happening, I interrupted, a commanding edge resting firmly over the facade of doubt. But I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash, right? The silence that followed wrapped around us, thick and choking. I caught a glimpse of the eyes in the room glued to our exchange, a perfect audience to unfold the play that would unveil their downfall. I knew I needed one last push to seal the deal and shatter their confidence completely. I had to decide, forgive or destroy. Tell me in the comments. The tension grew palpable as the audience held its collective breath, a reckoning at the altar of deception unfolding before their eyes. Image prompt. A young bride in a flowing white gown stands at the altar, her long dark hair framing her face as she faces her husband and mother-in-law. Her expression is a mixture of vulnerability and determination, with a hint of defiance in her eyes. They're surrounded by the soft glow of fairy lights, tension radiating in the air as curious guests watch the confrontation, the contrasts of joy and turmoil merging on this seemingly perfect day. I stood at the altar, the air thick with tension and the sounds of soft whispers cascading around me. The laughter that had once filled the reception hall floated into silence, like leaves falling from the trees as winter approached. Every eye in the room was cast upon me, their fearful anticipation hanging heavy like dark clouds overhead. I felt like a marionette gone rogue, ready to slice through the strings that had bound me for too long. Laura, Mark hissed, his irritation palpable in the air between us. What on earth are you doing? You're making a scene. I shifted my weight, clutching the crumpled receipt in my hand tighter as I caught a glimpse of my mother-in-law's face. Her expression locked between feigned innocence and palpable frustration. I'm pulling back the veil on our little fairy tale, Mark, I replied with an icy calm that was foreign to my racing heart. You see, today was supposed to be a celebration, but I can't ignore the truth anymore. I won't be made a fool. You're ridiculous, he spat, lifting his chin in arrogance. You've embarrassed yourself in front of everyone. No. You've embarrassed yourself, I said coolly, my voice a sharp contrast to the chaos stirring around us. Let's recount some of your blunders, shall we? The corner of my mouth curved into a defiant smile, my adrenaline surging as I continued. I found a hotel receipt with your mother's name on it. 2 nights in a king's suite. It raises questions that demand answers. Gasps rippled through the guests, the murmur of disbelief washing over the once celebratory air. Laura, stop! You don't know what you're talking about! Mark's voice was an urgent rasp, the facade of confidence slipping with every new word. Oh, but I do! I retorted, forced confidence bubbling to the surface. It's amazing how the pieces come together when you stop trusting a master manipulator. I gestured dramatically, eyes darting to my mother-in-law's stiffening posture. Speaking of manipulation, let's talk about those bank transfers. The ones you proudly orchestrated to cover up your illicit dealings, right? Her face paled, the aggressive mask dropping as she glanced nervously around the room. You're out of your depth, she said, attempting to regain control, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. These are just misunderstandings. Misunderstandings? I scoffed, my voice rising above the hushed audience. You transferred funds under my name for a venue I never knew I booked. And I think everyone here would agree that pretending to be a parental figure ready to pay for their child's happiness shows your true colors, doesn't it? Gasps echoed throughout the hall as more guests leaned in, eager to see the unraveling spectacle. You think this is a joke? Mark snapped, his face red with anger. Oh, it's a tragic comedy, I replied, unwavering. You made sure to distance me, isolating me from friends, luring me into a web of lies. This wedding was supposed to be the beginning of a close-knit family, but it's turning into a courtroom scene. Enough! Mark's voice cracked, but I could see the tension in his body, the way his fists curled as I continued, reveling in the power surging through me. This is it, I declared, the guests hanging on my every word. The lies, the deceit, all of it, is about to implode. You and your mother think you could con me forever, but your secrets are about to be exposed. Step away from us, my mother-in-law shot back, but her voice quaked with uncertainty. You're being unreasonable. Unreasonable. Is that what you call facing the reality of your duplicity? I laughed, the sound both exhilarating and liberating. You've carefully crafted your claims, yet I can't ignore the truth any longer. Your financial records scream guilt at me. A ripple of murmurs coursed through the gathering crowd. How can you be so cruel? Mark barked, his anger morphing into desperate, frantic disbelief. This wedding was supposed to bring us all together, and here you are, tearing us apart. It's uniting me with the truth, I countered sharply. And if you think the family you've knitted through deception will survive this revelation, think again. Dread washed over them as my words hung like pendulums ready to strike. I know about your little schemes, Mark. I've reached out to investigators who will expose everything beneath the surface. You will be caught, and you should be prepared to face the consequences. Investigators. You're bluffing, Mark scoffed, but now there was uncertainty in his voice, a fragility that sparked electricity in the room. Oh, I'm not bluffing, I replied, leaning in with cold elegance. You might want to hold on to that charming facade a little tighter, because the truth is slipping through your fingers. The police will love to know where that money you magically transferred is heading. You're setting yourself up for failure, he cried, his voice rising in panic. Or maybe I'm reclaiming my life, I shot back, undeterred. You thought you could reduce me to a mere pawn in your game, but I'm no one's victim. You have underestimated me. Hiding behind accusations won't save you from your own sins. My mother-in-law spat, her hands clenching into fists as desperation clawed at her composure. I took a calming breath, feeling the energy shift around us. No, revealing the truth will save me. And mark my words, I'll make sure this wedding day is not just the end of a union, but the death knell for all of your wretched secrets. A deafening silence enveloped the room, each breath taut with anticipation, as I faced them, chief architect and accomplice of my demise. I felt powerful, liberated as the tide turned against them, their world closing in with every truth spoken. One by one, they'd fall. I stand here, not out of spite, but out of a need for justice and healing, I declared coldly, my gaze unwavering. And this is just the beginning. My heart danced with defiance, a spark igniting fervor in my chest as the horrifying truth unfurled like a twisted fate before our eyes. Image prompt. A determined bride in a flowing white gown stands at the altar surrounded by an audience at a wedding reception. Her dark hair cascades around her shoulders, framing an expression filled with fiery resolve. In one hand, she clutches a crumpled receipt, an emblem of betrayal, while her other hand gestures poignantly. Her husband and mother-in-law stand opposite her, tension etched into their faces as guests lean in, captivated by the explosive confrontation. The backdrop is lavishly decorated, contrasting bitterly with the drama unfolding in the spotlight. As the echoes of my confrontation at the altar faded into silence, the weight of their shocked expressions remained seared in my memory. The aftermath of that day was a whirlwind of mixed emotions, a sense of liberation twisted with the discomfort of witnessing their downfall unfold. It had been a painful, tumultuous road, but in the end, clarity surfaced. I stood in stark contrast to my husband and mother-in-law, basking in the warmth of newfound freedom, while they spiraled into their own desperate abyss. Months flowed forward like a river carving its path, each ripple marking the gradual decline of their facade. Mark, once so self-assured and arrogant, faced the consequences of his web of lies as I reclaimed my voice and my life. The investigation uncovered more than just those sneaky hotel receipts. It laid bare a labyrinth of deceit, tax fraud, and money laundering that enveloped their lives like a shroud. I didn't realize how deep the web stretched until Helen and her team uncovered the truth. The police received everything: the recordings, the bank transfers, and documents outlining their illicit dealings. In the wake of my departure from that wedding, the corruption bled into public view, exposing the very foundation of my mother-in-law's convoluted schemes. She had thought she could orchestrate my downfall from the sidelines. But she was the one thrust into chaos when the detectives knocked on their door. "Laura," Helen exclaimed one day as we met for lunch, her voice blending with the cozy hum of the busy cafe. The smell of freshly brewed coffee and pastries washed over us, punctuating the gravity of her excitement. "They've been arrested." "What?" My heart raced at the words, disbelief pouring through every fiber of my being. "Are you serious?" "Yes. Mark and his mother are both in police custody now. The authorities raided their home after the investigation showed extensive financial misconduct. They've gone down for money laundering and tax evasion." Stepping into the light of the cafe, I felt an emotion echoing through me. Vindication. The knowledge that they had been caught trapped in that web they spun brought a spark of empowerment I had nearly forgotten. Mark's charming facades were gone, leaving behind a portrait of a man whose reality crumbled like dust beneath his fingertips. "I lost everything, Helen," I murmured, my voice laced with a bittersweet tint. "But at least they can't manipulate anyone else now." "Exactly. And you're free to forge your own path," she encouraged, squeezing my hand reassuringly. Her unwavering support had been a lifeline, gathering threads that had once felt frayed and beyond repair. "You're starting fresh now, and that's something worth celebrating." While Mark's life spiraled into chaos, mine flourished in new directions. I signed up for classes, reigniting the passions I thought had been silenced by the shadows that hung over me. I focused on reclaiming my identity, discovering art, pursuing my writing aspirations, and surrounding myself with positive, encouraging friends. At last, the pieces began to fit back together like a puzzle, each fragment radiating hope and purpose. Meanwhile, seeing Mark and his mother squirm in the public eye was almost cathartic. The trial turned into a media spectacle where their entangled deception came to life under the unforgiving spotlight. Witness after witness recounted the havoc they'd wreaked, a twisted symphony unraveling before the world. Sitting in the courtroom as their secrets spilled forth was a testament to how the game of manipulation had finally turned against them. "You're going away for a long time," I heard the judge announce one day, the gleam of justice twinkling in his eyes as he set down the gavel. Mark's face twisted with despair, realizing the weight of his choices finally caught up with him, the very consequences he had tried to impose on me. "Laura, you have to understand, you've ruined my life," Mark had cried out in desperation, his voice tremulous. "You'll pay for this." "No, Mark," I replied, my voice steady and calm as I faced him. "You did this to yourself. You ruined your own life the moment you walked away from our vows and chose deceit instead." His mother wailed beside him, her arrogance scattering like ashes in the wind as they sunk into despair. Their world spiraled into loneliness, a life once filled with pretense now stripped bare. I finally found peace in the blossoming days that followed. The moment I left that altar behind me, I had stepped into a new reality, one far beyond mere survival. The darkness melted away, leaving fresh possibilities to thrive. I felt buoyed by the support from those who truly cared about me, rekindling connections that had long been snuffed out. While they rotted away in a lonely prison cell, I reveled in my freedom. I had finally shed all remnants of their suffocating grip and began to thrive again. Now, I look ahead, ready to embrace the beautiful life I'm carving for myself, an existence blooming with honesty, warmth, and joy. The shadows have receded, leaving only golden sunlight in their wake. "On that note," I said with renewed clarity to Helen as she took a sip of her coffee, "thank you for being there through all of this. I know it was a wild ride, but we did it. We unmasked the truth. Hell yes, we did." She raised her cup in a toast, laughter sparking in her eyes. "To new beginnings." "Here's to new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my mug against hers. In that moment, I knew there was no going back. I stood on the precipice of a brighter future, freed from the chains that once bound me. Subscribe for more karma, with the taste of freedom on my lips. I smiled at the world waiting just beyond the cafe door before we stepped back into the warmth, ready to embrace the infinite possibilities of what lay ahead. Image prompt. A young woman in a vibrant floral dress stands amidst a bustling cafe, her long dark hair flowing freely around her shoulders as she raises a coffee mug in celebration. Her face is illuminated by joy and determination, sparks of happiness radiating in contrast to the dim shadows of her past. Soft sunlight filters through the window beside her, casting a warm glow surrounding her, while people bustle in the background, symbolizing a fresh start and renewed hope.